गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भवानी शंकरौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरम्। निस्तरंगशांतं निस्तरंगशांतं सत्यनारायणं सत्यनारायणं निष्कम्पमेकं निष्कम्पमेकं वासुदेवं हरिं वासुदेवं हरिं निस्तरंगशांतं निस्तरंगशांतं सत्यनारायणं सत्यनारायणं निष्कम्पमेकं निष्कम्पमेकं वासुदेवं हरिं वासुदेवं हरिं निस्पन्दं निष्क्रियं निस्पन्दं निष्क्रियं सत्यनारायणं सत्यनारायणं अकारणं नित्यं अकारणं नित्यं वासुदेवं हरिं वासुदेवं हरिं परमाद्वितीयं परमाद्वितीयं సత్యనారాయణం సత్యనారాయణం చిజ్ఞానస్వరూపం చిజ్ఞానస్వరూపం వాసుదేవం హరిం వాసుదేవం హరిం నిస్పందం నిష్క్రియం సత్యనారాయణం అకారణం నిత్యం వాసుదేవం హరిం పరమాద్వితీయం సత్యనారాయణం చిజ్ఞానస్వరూపం వాసుదేవం హరిం సత్యనారాయణం వాసుదేవం హరిం సత్యనారాయణం వాసుదేవం హరిం అనంతగోవిందం అనంతగోవిందం అచ్యుతానందం అచ్యుతానందం అనంతగోవిందం అనంతగోవిందం అచ్యుతానందం అచ్యుతానందం సత్యనారాయణం సత్యనారాయణం వాసుదేవం హరిం వాసుదేవం హరిం వాసుదేవం హరిం వాసుదేవం హరిం యస్మిన్ జ్ఞానే భవేత్ సర్వం విజ్ఞాతం పరమాత్మని తం వందే నిత్య విజ్ఞానం ఆనందమజమవ్యయం ఆనందమజమవ్యయం యదజ్ఞానాదభూద్వైతం జ్ఞాతే యస్మిన్ నివర్తతే రజ్జు సర్పవదత్యంతం తం వందే పురుషోత్తమం తం వందే పురుషోత్తమం యస్యోపదేశదీధిత్యా చిదాత్మానః ప్రకాశతే నమః సద్గురవే తస్మై స్వావిద్యాధ్వాంతభానవే స్వావిద్యాధ్వాంతభానవే The Supreme Consciousness is itself, without any comparison or reference point in the world outside. The innermost consciousness is merely itself. There is nothing in the external world which can be compared with it. From the human viewpoint, we say that it is a state of no mind, because at our level we are always connected with mind. Everything that we do is with mind. Everything that we gain is through mind. Everything that we experience is through mind. So, we are constantly involved with the mind. So, from this level of viewpoint, when we have to understand that innermost pure supreme consciousness, which has no reference point outside, it is a state of no mind. It is a condition which is beyond mind. And this supreme consciousness is continuously and equally present everywhere. How it is present everywhere? Continuously, equally present everywhere. If we understand this clearly, it is continuously, equally present everywhere, meaning it is beyond the limitations of time, space and objectivity. There is no other thing which is continuously, equally present everywhere. It is present in one particular place. It is not continuous. It is limited, space-wise, time-wise, object-wise. So these limitations are there. Desha, kala, vastu, parichedas are there. But here, supreme consciousness is beyond these limitations, because it is continuously present, it is equally present, it is everywhere present. You and I are neither continuously present, nor equally present, nor everywhere present. But supreme consciousness is like that. And it is even beyond, when we say it is beyond time, it is beyond past, beyond future, beyond present and not present. We can't even say that consciousness is present. It is beyond that. When we say that it is beyond time, it is beyond that. So it is said, enlightenment, or in other words, realization, means that the former personal identity at the level of our human existence, always we are identified with that internal organ, especially with that ego. So, the former personal identity and all that has been believed about it have been erased, have been removed, have been transcended, have been displaced, have been dissolved. Whatever we used to call as particular, because we were particular about things, that particular has been replaced by universal. At the level of ego, everything is particular. But at the level of enlightenment, it is universal. So this particular has been replaced by universal. The limited and what we call as discrete has been replaced by unlimited. The qualities, we are always talking about qualities. We look at qualities in us, qualities in others. So these qualities have been replaced by essence. At the level of ego, the focus is on qualities. At the level of enlightenment, it is on the essence. Whatever qualities are there, it is immaterial. The qualities, properties, it is immaterial. The focus is only on the essence. The linear is replaced by non-linear. The intention is replaced by spontaneity. everything is spontaneous. Earlier it is intentional. At the level of ego, it is all intentional. Good intention, bad intention, it is intentional. But at the level of enlightenment, it is spontaneity. Everything is spontaneous. At the level of the ego, it is perception of duality. At the level of enlightenment, it is the truth of non-duality. All the while we are perceiving duality. But at the level of enlightenment, it is the truth of non-duality. At the level of ego, it is always position in time and space. But at the level of enlightenment, it is allness and fullness. That is why it is already said, it is continuously, equally present everywhere. So it is allness and fullness and foreverness. At the level of ego, it is always thinking. At the level of enlightenment, it is only knowing. There is no need to think. Consciousness merely knows. That is why it is Chitta. It knows, it illumines, it knows. There is no need to think. There is no need for mentation. Meaning there is no need for mental thinking about everything. Unless we think, we cannot relate, we cannot understand, we cannot experience. But at the level of consciousness, there is no need for this. It knows. Then, the emotion at the level of ego is replaced by peace. There is only peace. There is peacefulness and peace. But at the level of this individualized ego, it is always emotion. Either this emotion or that emotion. Whatever it is all emotional way of looking at things and relating with people. Thereafterwards, it is only peace. Emotion is replaced with peace. The cause or change at the level of ego. We talk about cause and effect and change. It is replaced by unfoldment of creation. Everything unfolds. The enlightened individual sees only unfoldment of creation. No more cause and effect and no more change. One doesn't see and recognize that change. One sees only unfoldment. A flower unfolds. And a bud unfolds itself into a flower. That is why there is one book by Gurudev, Self-Unfoldment. From other viewpoint, change. But from the viewpoint of consciousness, it is unfoldment. When we look at the objects in the world, there is a way in which we look at things. The form is there. We hold our vision and look at it. We just look at it. It's like a stop frame viewpoint. But at the level of enlightenment, it is continuity of universal essence. Everything is continuous and everything is nothing but a manifestation of essence, universal essence. At the level of ego, we see a form, it is separate. There is no connection we see with the essence. We see a form, that is all it is. But at the level of enlightenment, it is a continuous expression of universal essence. To put it in short, it is like the shadow being replaced by the beam of sunlight. Sunbeam, shadow. At the level of ego, it is shadow being replaced by the sunbeam. Shadow has not become sunbeam. Shadow is replaced by the sunbeam. That is why it is said, from that viewpoint of consciousness, all is perfect expression of potentiality of essence. Everything is a perfect expression. From that viewpoint, nothing is incomplete, nothing is undone, nothing is unfinished. Nothing is incomplete, nothing is undone, nothing is unfinished. At the level of the ego, everything is incomplete, it is undone, it is unfinished. That is how the ego looks at the world. But from the level of consciousness, the enlightened person views at the world differently. Nothing is incomplete. Everything looks complete. Nothing is unfinished. Nothing is undone. That is why it is said from that level, all is continuously complete as total self-identity. Whatever is there in this creation, it is continuously complete as total self-identity. That is why it is said, the essence of all that appears to exist is divinity. Whatever is existing, whatever appears to exist in this creation, we see so many things. There are so many things that appear to exist. So whatever appears to exist, the essence of all that which appears to exist is divinity. That is the experience at this level. That is why the enlightened master comes to experience and live the truth that all is God. From that level, there is nothing else other than God. Everything is divine. So, that God is universal I-ness of manifestation. Behind this universal I-ness of manifestation, behind this I-ness of God, there is only, this means behind this Saguna Brahma, there is only that Nirguna Parabrahma. There is only that supreme consciousness which is unnameable. That is why Nirguna. From the level of Saguna, we give names to it. That Saguna is that universal I, that is the godliness, that is the Godhood. That is what we are calling as divinity, which expresses as everything, that is the essence of everything. And what is that which is behind it, if we want to understand, that is unnameable. We can't even name it. In that state of self-enlightenment, everything reveals itself in this universe. Now, because everything is veiled, everything is covered, we have to try to open it. We have to uncover it. That is why ego always discovers and tries to uncover. But from the state of enlightenment, everything in this world reveals itself effortlessly. We need not try to unveil anything. We need not try to uncover anything. Everything reveals itself. Because the divinity is revealing itself. Everything reveals itself as its own existence. Whatever is there, as its own pure existence, it reveals itself. The pure existence is Sat. And that is what is divinity. Every object in this world reveals itself, its divinity, to the enlightened master. These superficial layers are ignored. The outer layers are not paid attention to. The outer layers are not valued. Because the divinity is revealing, the essence is revealing itself, effortlessly it is revealing. Only that is known at that level. Rest all is only considered, treated as illusory appearance. Not even that. Still higher, except divinity, nothing else is seen. That is that level. So everything is already what it means to that enlightened master. So Hasta Malaka, for Hasta Malaka, everything is already what it means. Everything is revealing its essence as existence. When everything is revealing its essence as existence, why he should do anything? What else is there to be done? by Hastamalaka. That is why he is just reveling in that revelation of essence of divinity. Everything is complete. Everything is already what it means. Nothing is incomplete. Nothing is undone. Nothing is unfinished. So there is nothing needs to be done except experiencing the revelation of divinity and reveling in it. Because whatever we try to explore, whatever we try to know, whatever we try to experiment with, it is all associated with knowing what we don't know, uncovering what is covered, discovering what we don't know yet. But there, the only essence which is continuously present everywhere equally, that is revealing itself. And that is experienced, that is known, that is understood. So, everything is already what it means, and this ultimate supreme consciousness, how can we know it? It can be known only by the virtue of identity of being it, not being away from it, other than it, trying to reduce it as an object. No, it can be known only by the virtue of identity of being it. Not trying to know it. We have to be it. Become one with it. Identity of being one with it. Being it, then only we can know. Otherwise, our knowing is, object is separate, I am separate. So we also want to try to reduce that consciousness to this level. It cannot be known like that. It can be known only by being it. Then only we will come to know. In the Mahavakya Darpanam, whatever statements we have seen now, the essence of what we have seen till now is mentioned by Adi Shankaracharya ji in his own unique style, in his own unique way. Sloka number 114 in Mahavakya Darpanam. Brahmatmana Jagat Bhati. Brahmatmana Jagat Bhati. Shuddha Buddhir Mahatmanaha. Shuddha Buddhir Mahatmanaha. Brahmaiva Jagadakritya. Brahmaiva Jagadakritya. Bhatya Shuddha Dhiyo Sataha. Bhatya Shuddha Dhiyo Sataha. Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji in the Mahavakya Darpanam says, for the Ajnani, meaning for the ignorant person who has an impure internal organ. Ignorant person has an impure internal organ, impure antakarana. The Brahman shines as the world. Even if he sees Brahman, he will see only world. वहां भी दुनियादारी करेगा. He sees only world. Brahman is seen only as world. Bhagavan is seen only as prapancha. For the ignorant one who has got impure antakarana. For the person, pure-minded person, the Jagat shines in the form of Brahman. For the pure-minded person, the Jagat, the world, shines in the form of Brahman. What we have seen just now, everything reveals its essence, which is divinity. All is God, all is divine from that standpoint. This is what it is. For that pure-minded person, the existence reveals itself as divinity. So that is what is being said here. For that pure-minded person, the world shines in the form of Brahman. No world is recognized. Even though seeing the world, it is seen only as the form of Brahman. The difference is, the purity or impurity of Antakarana. In order to purify the Antakarana, we need to go through this knowledge, which by knowing itself, it purifies us. In sloka number 120 in Mahavakya Darpanam, Shri Adi Shankaracharya ji says, Brahmaiva panchabhutani Brahmaiva panchabhutani Brahmaiva bhuvanatrayam Brahmaiva bhuvanatrayam Brahmaivaham Brahmam Chatvam Brahmaivaham Brahmam Chatvam Brahmanonyana Nakinchana Brahmanonyana Kinchana Brahmaiva Panchabhutani. The whole world is manifested out of the permutation and combination of 5 elements, Panchabhutas: earth, water, fire, air, ether. So what are these things? When we go into the in-depth understanding of what manifested as these things, Panchabhutas, it is only pure Brahman. Brahmaiva Panchabhutani. Jagrata avastha, swapna avastha, sushupta avastha, waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. That way also. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka. The other way also. Whichever way we try to see. What are these things? Brahmaiva Bhuvanatrayam. Brahman alone manifested as these 3 worlds. Nothing else other than Brahman. Then Brahma eva aham. Brahmam cha tvam. I am Brahman alone. So what are you then? You also are Brahman. So Adi Shankaracharya ji, at that level of revelation of divinity, he gives out how it is. How one looks at, how one understands, what exactly is the truth. So thou art Brahman. I am also Brahman. This is the understanding. So, when Adi Shankaracharya ji and Hastamalaka meet, Adi Shankaracharya ji, anyway, he has the understanding, thou art Brahman, I am Brahman. So, Hastamalaka also is in that same level. Only thing is, the father of Hastamalaka did not know all this. But Hastamalaka is in the same level. I am Brahman, thou art Brahman. That is why when he was asked, who are you? From where you are coming? Where are you going? What is your name? Whose child are you? Mat pritaye priti vivardhanosi. So for the sake of love, please tell me whatever I have asked you. He also tells in the same love. He says, I am Brahman. Nijabodha Rupaha. I am of the form of awareness. That is what is the reality from that level. Brahma eva aham. Brahmam cha tvam. Brahmano anya na kinchana. There is nothing else other than Brahman. Nothing else other than Brahman. So what Sri Adi Shankaracharya said and what we try to understand, all is continuously complete as total self-identity. The essence of all that appears is divinity. What else is there, he said? There is nothing else other than Brahman is the statement. Here also same thing. All is God. Brahmaivaham Brahmam Chatvam. Brahmaiva Panchabhutani Brahmaiva Bhuvanatrayam. One statement, all is God. God is universal I-ness of manifestation. In that state of enlightenment, all is self-revealing of its essence as existence, as divinity. So, based on this, it is very clearly said, as of now, if you are facing misery, suffering, problem, inconvenience, upsetting situations, disturbing, agitating situations, unrest, stress and tension, all is because we don't have that level of purity to see the divinity revealing itself everywhere. That is why there is no need to change anything externally. Nobody need to change anything. All that we need to change is the purity in the internal organ is to be changed. The moment, the more the purity, not only that we see divinity, the external surroundings also, as they reveal their higher consciousness, the purer they also become, the surroundings also become highly pure, and the situations will become totally different. Circumstances and surroundings will become totally different. The more pure an individual becomes, the individual starts influencing everything around the individual. So the only most important thing that anybody can do is to become more pure. That is all. That is the only worthiest thing as a human being. Become more pure. Don't try to change anybody's level of peace. You cannot change. Don't try to make anybody happy. It is impossible. At the level of the world, only temporarily you can make anybody happy or satisfied. After that, the same person with you will become dissatisfied, in spite of your efforts. Nobody has ever succeeded in this. Only one thing is to be done. The more pure we become, the more beauty manifests out of us, and the more divinity is revealed out of that other person also, surroundings also. Then slowly, things will start becoming more joyous, peaceful, comfortable, relaxing. Not because bringing about any change outside, but bringing about change in the internal organ. It becomes more pure. That is all is to be done. That is why every second that we spend in attempting to make the internal organ pure is the most worthiest achievement we can ever make in this life. Because hundreds of births we can live at the impure levels. No big deal. Even for few seconds we spend attempting to purify ourselves. That is the best thing that can happen in the human birth. Because that alone goes into other birth, and that elevates our level of consciousness, and that elevates surroundings, that elevates our perception and takes us beyond perception into mere knowing of divinity. Now we move on to the second sloka. Yamagnyushnavannitya bodhaswarupam manaschakshuradini bodhatmakani pravartanta ashritya nishkampamekam sanityopalabdhihi Swarupohamatma Sanityopalabdhihi Swarupohamatma Yamagnyushnavannitya bodhaswarupam manaschakshuradini bodhatmakani pravartanta ashritya nishkampamekam सनित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा सनित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा अग्नि उष्णवत् नित्यबोध स्वरूपम just like the heat of the fire is the nature of the eternal consciousness. Just like the heat of the fire is the nature of eternal consciousness. Ekam nishkampam. The changeless and one. Yam ashritya, depending on whom, abodhatmakani manashchakshurādīni pravartante. The inert abodhatmakani, which are insentient, manashchakshurādīni, the mind, the eye and other organs function. Sa nityopalabdhihi swarupohamatma. That is of the nature of eternal consciousness, the self I am. I am that self which is of the nature of eternal consciousness, which is nishkampam, changeless, which is one without a second, ekam. And nityabodha swarupam, whose nature is eternal consciousness. It is nityabodha swarupam. And how it is? In the same manner as the heat is the very nature of fire, and depending upon which the mind and other organs, which are all insentient, function. So let us go into the detail. Nishkampam ekam, changeless, non-dual. The one non-dual self dwells in all the bodies. What dwells in all the bodies, all the beings, is one non-dual self, meaning it is ever the same and it is not subject to any change. The mind is subject to change, the ego is subject to change, the intellect is subject to change, the memory is subject to change, but the one who dwells in it is not subject to change. Whatsoever might be the cause, it will never change. Then we will leave it here because we are going to study about Nishkampam Ekam more. We will take up Agni Ushnavat Nityabodha Swarupam. Yamagnushnavan Nityabodha Swarupam, like that. Agni Ushnavat Nityabodha Swarupam. Just like the heat of the fire, of the nature of eternal consciousness. See, heat is the very nature of fire. Heat is inseparable from fire. We cannot find fire without heat. You can say, nowadays they have this look-alike fire. For the sake of the play, drama and all that on the stage, they will make it happen. But that is not fire. But the fire cannot be seen without heat, because heat is the nature of the fire. Heat is not an attribute of fire. An attribute means a quality which can be found in more than one substance. Attribute means it is a quality which can be found in more than one substance. For example, color is an attribute. So the same color can be found in different flowers and other substances also, other things also. So color is an attribute, it is not nature. So here very clearly it is said, heat can never be seen separately from fire. So heat is the nature of the fire. Similarly, the consciousness does not exist anywhere other than the self. Consciousness cannot be seen separately from the self. So consciousness is therefore very nature of the self. Consciousness is not different from the self, is not an attribute of the self, is not a quality of the self. It is the nature of the self. Just as heat is the nature of fire, consciousness is the nature of the self. So self means it is conscious. Self cannot be unconscious. Self is conscious. And what we call as ourselves, mind, intellect, memory, ego, is definitely unconscious. It is not conscious by itself. It is made to be conscious by the very consciousness. So it is very clear. That is why it is compared with Agni Ushnavat Nitya Bodha Swarupam. So when Hastamalaka said, Nijabodha Rupaha Nitya Bodha Swarupaha. That is Nijabodha Rupa, that is Nitya Bodha Swarupa. So how it is? Like the heat of the fire. So consciousness is the nature of the self. It cannot be different from the self. There was one interview that was being conducted in the management field. So the interviewer asked the candidate, how many types of business people are there? What a question. How many types of business people are there? The candidate said, 3 types. Huh? There are only 3 types? Don't think he will tell Satvik, Rajasic and Tamasic. He will not tell like that. He said 3 types. First type, who are successful businessmen. Businesswomen also. Successful business persons. Second type, unsuccessful business people. First type, successful business people. Second type, unsuccessful business people. Third type are those people who conduct seminars to second type of business people and tell about the first type of business people. Third type are those people who conduct seminars to second type, unsuccessful business people, and tell about the first type, successful business people. And they make maximum money. Third type are more richer than the first type and second type. Because they are neither successful nor unsuccessful. They only talk to unsuccessful businessmen about successful business people. They were not successful. They talk about them. And they become more successful. Meaning what? When you try to know about what is success, you will also get that success. When your mind is fixed on what is success. In the worldly level, if your mind is fixed on what is success in successful people, how they became successful, what way they became successful, you try to teach to somebody, but you are also successful. So if you fix your mind on that, what made them successful, we will also become that. So similarly, if we fix our mind on spiritual practice, which made the spiritual people attain that highest level of divinity, we will also become. We will also attain. If we are made to focus the mind on divinity, we will also gain. We will also attain. That is what is the attempt which is being made here. Purity. If you focus on purity, mind will become pure. We will attain purity. Of course, this candidate was selected in that interview, and then he was made to teach same thing. He was given that job only afterwards. Go to unsuccessful people, talk about successful people. That's all. So what is this Mahatma also doing? To ignorant people, he is talking about knowledge. He is knowledgeable. So to ignorant people, actually from business angle, unsuccessful people, because every time complaining, sad, morose, gloomy, disturbed, unsuccessful only. So talking about successful people, attained. So finally what happens? He will also attain. There was a cattle fair where there were many prized cows were also placed for sale. One man who was interested to buy went and asked about them. बताओ ये क्या है, ये कितना है, वो क्या है? So that salesperson said to the buyer, see sir, this cow, this costs 25,000 rupees. This is young and will give birth to 2 calves a year. every year and guaranteed yield of 10 liters of creamy milk every day. Guaranteed 10 liters of creamy milk every day. Every year 2 calves, very young, 25,000. Then he looked at, वो क्या है? This is middle-aged cow. Never gave birth to any calf. Its udders are untouched by human hand. It costs 1 lakh. That fellow was shocked. अरे क्या बोले? It never gave birth to any calf. Udders are untouched. No milk. Definitely no milk. But middle-aged. But 1 lakh of rupees. This fellow was shocked. ये क्या है? It should be other way around. That man said, कैरेक्टर भी कोई चीज होती है, आदमी हो या पशु हो. प्यूरिटी, that is why it is more. Mental purity is priceless because it gives immense peacefulness and contentment, and it gives connection with the divinity, which is priceless. You cannot value it only, you cannot rate it. That is why every second that we spend to make our mind pure is a priceless gift that we give to ourselves. Really priceless gift that we give to ourselves. In a parliament, there was a debate that was going on. So, minister was trying to talk something, and then people naturally, some people were always opposing. So one member of parliament got up and said, looked at minister and said, I know to whose tunes you are dancing. I know to whose tunes you are dancing. मुझे पता है कौन नचा रहे हैं आपको. And the minister said, please don't drag my wife's name into parliament. Very honest. Don't drag my wife's name into parliament. This is not correct. You should not drag family members. In one school, the teacher asked, can you say something unique about India? The student, social studies class. Teacher asked, can you say something unique about India, which is nowhere else in the world? There are many things, of course, but depends upon the person who sees it. The student said, President is a Hindu. Prime Minister is a Sikh. Defense Minister is Isai. Vice President is Muslim. President is Hindu. Prime Minister is Sikh. Defense Minister is Isai. Vice President is Muslim. Hindu, Sikh, Isai, Muslim. सबको नचाती इटालियन बाई. The Maya makes everybody dance. So we need to look beyond that. This very effort here, telling about Agni Ushnavat Nityabodha Swarupam, our attention is made to focus, divert towards the nature of the very self. Consciousness is the nature of the very self, not on the Maya, but on the very self. That is why this is being said. So, next point we will take up. Manaha chakshuhu adi adini abodhatmakani. Manas chakshuradini abodhatmakani. The mind, eye and other organs all are insentient and therefore incapable of functioning on their own. Abodhatmakani, they are inert and insentient. Manaha chakshuhu adini. The Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Antakarana, everything comes under this. Then how do they become sentient? It is only because of the reflection of the consciousness in them. Initially in the internal organ, it looks sentient. It gains sentiency. When the mind receives the reflection of the pure consciousness, the mind appears to be consciousness. Just as Adi Shankaracharya says that just as the moon appears to be very bright and sheds its light on so many trees and plants and aushadhis and so on and so forth. But that light of the moon is actually belonging to the light of the sun. The sun's light getting reflected in the moon expresses itself as moonlight, makes moon also give out light and shine with light. Similarly, the supreme consciousness, pure consciousness getting reflected in the mind makes the mind also appear conscious, sentient. So, the mind, organs are all enlivened by the self. So that is why it is said, Atma is that where there are no doubts and other vrittis of the form of mental vibrations. There are no other vrittis of the form of mental vibration. Manasa, Spandarupa, Samshayadi vritti rahita iti Atma. Manasa Spandarupa, the mental vibration type. So, Samshayadi vritti, the vritti which is in the form of a vibration in the mind, which may be doubt, which may be any other thing, all such things are absent, are not there. That is what is called as Atma. That is why it is called as Bodha, meaning consciousness. It is Chaitanyam, and it is not that supreme. See, it is only supreme consciousness, not like ordinary knowledge. We can't say it is like ordinary jnanam. Even though we call it as jnana swarupam, it is not like the ordinary knowledge where we call this is flower, this is carpet, this is pot, that is table. When we call like this, we also gain knowledge. But this knowledge is again gneyam, known to that real knowledge. Because this knowledge is known only through mind. So this again is an object to the very subject. So to that real pure consciousness, this is gneyam. So this gnanam, that this is cloth, this is pot, is actually gneyam. And such janya gnanam, this is called as gnanam which is born out of the contact of the mind with the object. This is janya gnanam. So the janya gnanam is actually not gnanam but gneyam. So it is anityam. It is temporary. So whatever knowledge we gain in this world, which is born out of a contact of the sense organs and the mind with the sense object, is janya gnanam, is anityam, it is temporary. It is jadam, it is impermanent and insentient. Hence, Atma Swarupam is totally different. So whatever is insentient, whatever is impermanent is Anatma Swarupam. It is of the form of not self. So whatever knowledge we gain here, it is connected with not self, not with the self. So it is said Chaitanyam is not like that one. It is Nityam, eternal. Hence it is Nitya Bodha Swarupam, of the form of eternal consciousness, and that is Atma. So Janya Gnanam versus Nitya Gnanam. This is a hall, that is a tree. This is Janya Gnanam. This is also called as Sa Vishayaka Gnanam. The knowledge that is connected with the object, the presence of the object in it. When the object changes, knowledge changes. Objects never remain the same. That change, knowledge changes. So older knowledge dies, and newer knowledge is born. Such knowledges are anityam, impermanent. That which, what is permanent knowledge? That which always illumines. Please understand this. What is permanent knowledge? That which always illumines, not illumined. That which always illumines. Number one. Number two, that which never changes. The permanent knowledge never changes. Third one, that which is self-luminous. It is self-luminous. It doesn't depend upon anything for luminosity. Like even sun depends upon Brahman for luminosity. So, it is not like it depends upon anything for luminosity. It is self-luminous. First thing is, it always illumines. Second thing, it never changes. Third thing, it is self-luminous. That is what is called as permanent knowledge or eternal knowledge. Such eternal knowledge is aham. Sanityopalabdhihi swarupo aham atma. That atma is aham. And that atma is the real self. That is what is being mentioned here. That is the real self. Bannu asked Chiddu, why are you looking sad? Chinnu said, see what all happened with me. I wanted to stand in the election. Then they gave me the symbol of car. Then I purchased the car. Ever since I started driving it, every day one of the tires get punctured. I don't know why. Every day one of the tires get punctured. Whole month every day puncture. When I entered into second month, somebody stole the car. But still I continued to stand for elections. I stood for election. Then in the election, after the counting, they declared that I polled only 3 votes. And my wife immediately divorced me. Then the friend asked, Bannu asked Chinnu, is it because you lost the election? No. She in any ways knows that I will never win the election. It was not a surprise for her. She said, she argued with me, 2 votes I know. One is mine, another one is yours. This third one is your girlfriend's. I am sure this is your girlfriend's. That is why she divorced. In the world of Maya, one thing gets added unto other. One confusion gets added to another confusion. So, at least our vision should look at the divinity which is inside the very Maya, as the very substratum of the Maya. The world, when we see, we need to look through the world, the very divine. Then, Adi Shankaracharya in his Bhashya says, Atma is Swa and Paraprakashakam. It is self-luminous and also illumines the world. 2 things. It is self-luminous and also illumines the world. Hence, Atma is Chetanam or Chaitanyam. The entire Drishya Prapancham, the world of seen, is superimposed on the Atma due to Bhranti. The very Bhranti is Kalpita. Hence, Asat. Whatever is Asat does not exist really. So whatever is Asat which does not exist really is already considered as inert, Jadam, meaning not self-luminous. So Atma alone is self-luminous. The whole world is not self-luminous. It is insentient. It is Jadam. Atma alone illumines everything. And he says, if Atma was inert, then this world cannot become known to anyone. Because Atma is very sentient, it makes the world also known to others through whatever sources of knowledge, means of knowledge they try to know. It is made known to others only because of this sentiency which is given by the consciousness. If that very consciousness was inert, nobody would have known anything in this creation. So the very fact that the world is known, becoming known, it is only because it is shining. The world shines. It is only because of the Atma inside. So it is because of that conscious Atma, the Chidrupa, Prakasharupa Atma, everything in this world is shining and made known, and we can know everything in the world. So whatever we try to know in this world, we are able to know only because of the Atman that is there in the world. So only due to Atma Prakasham, this Jagat shines. Jagat shines only because of the light of the Atman. So Chaitanyam is Atma Swarupam. So consciousness is the nature of Atma, and definitely not a gunam of Atma. It is not a property of Atma, it is not a quality of Atma, it is the nature of Atma. And it illumines everything. So that very Atman is Sadrupam, that very Atman is causeless, that very Atman is Nityam. Adi Shankara in the Bhashya. Then he continues to explain about Nishkampam Ekam. Initially we saw, now we will again see. Nishkampam Ekam. Another meaning for Nishkampam is motionless and one. See, here there is one example that is taken. Iron ball or iron piece, a block of iron, and it is heated up, burnt in the fire for a very long time. When we burn that iron in the fire, the iron becomes like a fireball. Iron appears like a fire. Nobody will see any more iron in it, but they see only fire. Because the fire got into the iron so much that the iron is not seen anymore. Iron itself is seen like a fire. Just as fire being subtler than the iron does not get affected by the qualities of iron. Even though the fire burns the iron ball or iron block is burning like red hot fire, the fire is not affected by the qualities of iron, even though it is lighting it up so much. Similarly, when the Atman illumines Indriyas, sense organs, it never gets conditioned by the sense organs. When Atman illumines the mind, it never gets conditioned by the mind. Indriyas have to undergo the fruits of actions. Atman illumines Indriyas, and you and I with Indriyas are undergoing karma phalas, but Atman is not affected by karma phala. When the people take hammer and beat the red hot iron ball, patak, 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 the iron ball faces the brunt of the beating of the hammer, but not the fire. Not the fire that is supporting that iron. Not the fire. Fire doesn't get beating of the hammer. Fire doesn't suffer. So the very Atman which is illumining the sense organs, the mind and organs of perception, organs of action, the body, everything. When the body and organs are undergoing karma phalas, Atman will never undergo any karma phalas. Atma is beyond the karma phalas. If we identify with that Atman, instantly we are relieved from the effects of the karma phalas. Body will get affected, but the Atman will not get affected. Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda used to say, there is an iron tray, and on that iron tray there is a wooden block. If you hold a magnet, powerful magnet, the iron tray is pulled towards the magnet, but the wooden block on the iron tray also is pulled along with the iron tray. If that wooden block is a millimeter above the tray, iron tray is pulled, wooden block is not, by the magnet. If by spiritual practice we get disassociated with this upadhis of body, mind, intellect, memory, ego, sense organs, etc., etc., we also remain in a state where we are not affected by what happens at the body level, at the sense organs level, at the worldly level, at the mind level. We will never be affected as a doer, as an enjoyer. We will never ever consider ourselves as a doer and enjoyer. But the ego always considers itself as the karta, bhokta, doer, enjoyer. But that very Atman, which supports this ego and which considers itself as doer and enjoyer, but the Atman is neither affected by the doership nor affected by the enjoyership. Nitya Bodha Swarupam. That is what Hastamalaka said. Sanityopalabdihi Swarupoham Atma. So Nishkampam Ekam. Changeless, motionless, effectless. That Nishkampam inside the individual, even when sense organs are affected, even when the mind is affected, even when the body is undergoing the pain and disease and suffering, the Atman is not affected. That is why Swami Chinmayan used to say many times, how are you? Body is like this, but I am fine. Always fine. Don't ask me how are you. You? I am fine. Body? That you know better. So, that Atman never becomes doer, never becomes enjoyer. But it supports the doer and enjoyer. But not a trace of the effect of doership and enjoyership can ever touch the Atman. How clearly it is being said. We all have the very consciousness inside us as our own nature. It cannot be anything other than our nature. Our nature is consciousness. But why we are not able to see it, feel it, experience it, be it? Because of the ignorance. That has to be removed. That is what is the effort here. So, what is the way to put an end to all the suffering that the body, mind, intellect, memory, ego undergo? Not by changing the world, changing the relationship, changing the external condition, changing the inside. That's all is to be done. Outside will change. There was a very devoted, dedicated wife who was fast asleep beside her husband, and in the dream, there was a dream that happened to the wife. In the dream, she felt so bad, so sad, so miserable that she became a widow. In the dream, she became a widow. But she is sleeping beside the husband. And that affected her so much that she, in the dream, naturally anybody would consider it as real only. So she was really feeling sad and she was even weeping in dream and the real tears were coming out. It is an illusion, but it comes out because the body is coming out. Mind is affected. The tears are coming. And she woke up. And the husband asked her what happened. And she still is not able to distinguish between dream and waking state. She woke up, but she started sharing to him, telling her, I became a widow, my husband died, I don't know why God did this to me. Husband said, अरे मैं तो जिंदा हूं, अरे मैं तेरे सामने हूं, बाजुक हूं, alive हूं. And she is still thinking, husband, with whom you are sharing? It took time for her to come out of that effect of the dream. Even after waking up, there are people who still will remain in dream for some time. The impact is so much. That is why even though when people say, from today I am stopping this bad habit, but that lingers. I am disconnecting with this relationship. It hangs over for some time. Swami Chinmayan used to say, you switch off the fan, but still it goes on for some time. It is like that. So, effect of the dream is still there in the waking state. But these masters who have awakened themselves to that level of consciousness, these masters, they never ever allow that level to compromise and get identified with anything in this inert world anywhere. That is why he very clearly says, Yamagnushnavanitya Bodhaswarupam. Bodhaswarupam. I am that Bodhaswarupam. That Bodhaswarupam. That of the nature of knowledge and awareness. Nothing other than that, nothing shorter than that. So then, again, Adi Shankaracharya tells about Nishkampam. That is why Nishkampam. They are always awakened to that supreme level. So how can there be change? How can they get affected? How can there be that impact of the world? It can never be. You and I also can reach that level. Because our nature is not different from their nature. But as of now, we are not sure about it. So these statements will make us sure about it. Nishkampam, another meaning. Nistarangam, waveless. Waveless, waveringless. Nishkampam also means Nistarangam. Even though it makes the mind and organs function, it is Nispandam, vibrationless. The Atman makes the mind and sense organs function. It is Nistarangam, waveless. It is Nispandam, vibrationless. Nispandam, movementless. Nispandam, motionless. Not only Nistarangam, Nispandam, but Nishkriyam, activityless, actionless. And not only that, Nissamshayam, doubtless. Nistarangam, waveless, Nispandam, vibrationless, movementless, motionless, Nishkriyam, actionless, and Nissamshayam, doubtless. That is the state of the Atma. That is why it ever remains in its state of awareness. That is why those people who attain that level also, they also have no more doubts, no more kampam. So Nishkampam means Nistarangam, Nispandam, Nistamshayam, Nishkriyam. All are there in Nishkampam. That is why Ekam. Ekam is Advitiyam. So then, after conclusion for this second sloka, Adi Shankara says, a doubt arises. Now, it is said that same self dwells in all the bodies, same self. If this is so, then when one person is happy, all others should also be unhappy. One person is happy, all should be happy. When one is unhappy, everybody else should be unhappy. When one is suffering, everybody should suffer. Why? Because same self. And then it is said, if this is not the case, then self in each body must be different. Different selves and different bodies. They create doubt and then they clarify. That is how they make our mind more firm in understanding. So the connection is a doubt, and that is clarified in the next verse. Mukhabhasako darpane drushyamano Mukhabhasako darpane drushyamano mukhatvat prudaktvena naivasti vastu mukhatvat prudaktvena naivasti vastu chidabhasako dhishu जीवोऽपि तद्वत् सनित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा सनित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. The reflection of a face in a mirror. Darpane drishyamanaha mukha abhasakaha mukhat prudaktavena. See, the reflection of a face in a mirror has no real existence apart from the original face which is reflected. The reflection of a face in a mirror, does it have any existence, separate existence apart from that original face? No. The reflection of a face in a mirror has no real existence apart from the reflected face. So So also, the jiva, who is only reflection of the pure consciousness in the intellect or in the mind, has really no separate existence apart from the self. The jiva, is the reflection of the pure consciousness in the antakarana, has no separate existence apart from the self, and that self is of the nature of eternal consciousness. Tadvat dishu chidavasakaha jivaha api. So also the reflection of pure consciousness in the intellect, which is jiva, also is not separate from that very eternal consciousness. And Sri Shankaracharya says, when one face is reflected in a number of mirrors, one face reflected in number of mirrors, the reflections may be of different shapes and sizes according to mirrors. Possibility is there. One face, many mirrors, different shapes, different sizes. So face also will be different in different shapes and different sizes. And some mirrors are plane mirrors, some are convex mirrors, some are concave mirrors. So plane mirrors as it is, other mirror thinner than what it is or fatter than what it is. Like that. Different mirrors taller than what it is, shorter than what it is. Different mirrors, different shapes. Same face, same body, many mirrors, different shape, different sizes, different natures, different qualities of mirrors. Everything appears different. And you shake the mirror, the reflection also shakes. Shake the mirror, reflection shakes. So much of difference. In a hazy mirror, reflection is hazy. Unclean mirror, reflection is unclean. Dirty mirror, reflection is dirty. How many differences, disparities in mirrors? All these differences in the various reflections, can they affect the original face? Even by an iota? Even for a second, can they affect the original face? Which alone is reflected in all? They cannot. Similarly, Adi Shankaracharya says, one self reflects in all minds, intellects, memories, egos. Their shapes are different, sizes are different, textures are different, purity levels are different, impurity levels are different, cleanliness is different, dirtiness is different, everything is different. Gunas levels, some mind, sataguna is more, rajaguna is more, tamaguna is more. Depending on that, the reflected things also are different. That is why there is so much of difference in all the jivas. It appears, because as long as that jiva is identified with all the intellects, memories, egos, and their samskaras and vasanas and thought patterns, it will all look different. But all of them, can they bring about a change in the original consciousness, which is reflected? Can they ever bring about a change in the original consciousness? Whatever might be the changes in the body level, mind level, ego level, intellectual level, wherever level it is, can they bring about a change? They cannot. These minds are of different characteristics, different natures, different combinations. But the original self, which is reflected in all these, can never be affected. It never changes. It ever remains the same. Similarly, the jiva in reality is pure consciousness. Is not different from pure consciousness. But this jiva, because of the ignorance, mistakenly or wrongly identifies with the body, mind, intellect, memory, ego, and then gets engulfed by all their limitations, natures, qualities, textures, limitations and everything. And he suffers, undergoes suffering, and experiences sometimes joy, sometimes sorrow, sometimes profit, sometimes loss, sometimes honor, sometimes dishonor, and birth and death and so on and so forth. All these pertain only to the body and mind and intellect and ego, but not to that one Atman which is reflected in all these. But what we have to do to get out of this? Disidentification with what we have identified. The upadhis or limiting adjuncts with which we got identified, we have to get out of it. That is what it. The reflected face got identified with the mirror. That is the suffering. It has to be disidentified. We have to disidentify ourselves The reflected face is not different from the original face. It has no existence apart from the original face. The jiva who is reflected has no existence apart from the reality. It has no existence apart from that reality. But it is identified. So that has to be disidentified. For that purpose, all this beautiful knowledge is being explained here. Neha nanasti kinchana. The Atma Vastu which shines as multifarious universe actually has no differences in it. There is no nanatvam. That Atman is ekam and advitiyam. There is no bondage of the Upadhi to the Bimba, to the original. The bondage of Upadhi is not there to the original because there is no bondage and there is no moksha also. That is why for the original face, which was never bound by the mirrors or the impurities in the mirrors, there is neither bondage nor liberation. So for that pure consciousness, where is bondage? Where is liberation? There is no moksha, there is no bandha, so there is no moksha. Similarly, even for the Chidavasa, even for the reflection, actually if you look at it, there is no bondage only. The reflected face thinks that it is identified. That is why the bondage appears as if there is a bondage. So that also is not there. And the Upadhi itself, Antakarana, itself is perishable. It dies away. So it has neither bandha nor moksha. So then, if this is the case, what is the need for the teaching in the Upanishads about the means of removal of bondage? Why Upanishads talk about the removal of bondage? That will be answered in the next verse, of course. But before we conclude, there was a selection process in the software company. So there was a group discussion also. So all the candidates were segregated into women and men. Both of them were given a topic for discussion. Same topic. How to view a woman and understand a woman through software. How to view a man and understand a man through software. The world of software technology, So both groups discussed. Then the men's group, they concluded the discussion and they said, here are our conclusions. How a cyber age woman is to be understood. Cyber age woman. First, hard disk woman. Hard disk woman. She has fantastic memory and never fails. That woman who has fantastic memory and never fails is hard disk woman. Software language. Then, internet woman. Very difficult to access. You cannot access her. That woman is called as internet woman. Third one, Windows woman. Everyone knows she cannot do a thing right, but no one can live without her. She cannot do a thing right, everybody knows, but no one can live without her. Next, virus woman. Computer language, virus woman. When you don't expect, she comes and installs herself. Virus is like that in computer. When you don't expect, she comes and installs herself. And uses all your resources. That's what virus is. Comes, installs itself and uses all your resources. Virus woman. And if you try to uninstall, you will lose something. If you try to uninstall, you will lose something. If you don't try to uninstall, you will lose everything. What a situation. She comes and installs herself and uses your resources. If you try to uninstall, you will lose something. If you don't try to uninstall, you will lose everything. Then, screensaver woman. good for nothing, but fun to look at. Next, email woman. Out of every 10 things, she says 8 are junk. Excel woman. She claims she can do a lot of things, but you mostly avoid checking her out. And now, woman's turn. Now, they concluded the discussion. Cyber age man. They said, hard disk man makes too much of sound and noise. And short-term memory always fails. Too much of noise, sound, short-term memory, and always fails. Hard disk man. An internet man, accessible to all except wife. Windows man, he thinks he is right, others know he is wrong. Virus man fails to enter his own computer, fails to enter into his own duties and responsibilities, and fails to assist others. Helpless with himself, helpless with others. Virus man. Screensaver man, no one looks at him, very frightening to look at. Email man, out of every 10 things he says, 9 bounce back. Out of 10 emails he sends, 9 bounce back. And Excel man, who never excels. If we look deeply into this is all based on different characteristics in an individual, whether a man or a woman. All are based upon different traits at the thought level and different impressions at the chitta level. So, we need to disidentify with all of them in order to come to understand that we belong to that divine nature. We are not different from that divine nature. So, depending upon the cleanliness and clarity of our understanding, we move more and more closer to divinity. Then we finally come to experience that nothing of our nature gets affected by whatever we come into contact with. And that supreme nature is nothing but pure consciousness. And it is ever present, continuously present, everywhere, equally, continuously present divinity. And once we try to go more deeper into it, then the divinity itself will start revealing wherever it is. So then, we will take up the other things later on, tomorrow. Vasudeva sarvamidam Vasudeva sarvamidam Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat Brahmamatramidam Sarvam Brahmamatramidam Sarvam Sarvam Brahmaiva Sakalam Jagat Sarvam Brahmaiva Sakalam Jagat Bhutani Vishnurityadya Shatakodha Sahasrashaha Vishwasya Brahma Bhinnatve Jayanti Shrutayopi Cha Jayanti Shrutayopi Cha सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।